Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So today's video focusing on getting started in the reloading process for the new cartridge 30 Thompson Center. Picked this guy up. It's a Thompson Center Icon, which is a really sweet rifle, by the way. Just very impressive in terms of the overall quality, just from start to finish. I took the thing apart, talking about the rifle, the stock and the action and all that, took it apart. I mean, there's a solid aluminum block in the stock that the action beds into, and just the whole nine. I mean, it is just start to finish a really well thought out and really nice rifle. So hopefully we can squeeze a good bit of accuracy out of it. I ended up going with, to start with, I ordered some factory ammo from Duck Creek Sporting Goods. Shout out to Denny over there in Colorado. Huge help. Really the only way this project's possible. I was able to track down, he had some factory ammo for it, and he also had this die set for it. I'm sure I could go buy these from Midway or something, but since I was ordering that stuff, I was like, might as well go ahead and pick up the die set too, since I was getting the factory ammo. And I ended up going with what he had in stock was the Hornady Superformance factory ammo, and it actually had this bullet, and it's the 150 grain SST. And I think on the box velocity, I think they were advertising maybe somewhere around 3,000 feet per second or something. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look. I've got one of those boxes around here somewhere. But anyway, I've run, let's see, almost, I think 20. I think I ran a full box over the chronograph, over the Magneto Speed Sporter chronograph, and I'm somewhere around 28.15 to 28.25 is what I'm getting. And so not too bad. Definitely more than enough to go get the job done on anything I'm going to shoot at. And also the accuracy is pretty good out of that factory ammunition. I actually was at the range yesterday and went out to, I was basically just zeroing it, checking velocities again because the weather had changed a little bit since the last time I had gone out and shot. It's gotten a little bit cooler here. It's what, October 21st. And so the temps were a little bit below what they were the first time I went out. And that was when I was getting like 28, 25, I think was my average. And then this time I was 28.15. I think I shot 7 or 8 over the chronograph and gathered that information. And I zeroed it, took it out to, and I immediately went from 100, and I plugged everything into, I've got a little ballistics calculator. It's not that great. It's not the Hornady 4DOF, which I do want to start using, but it's just I think it's maybe a free app you can get in the App Store. I think it's called Ballistic AE, maybe. I don't know. But I went, selected the bullet, the 150 grain SST. It pulls in the BC and all that stuff for it. Went down, plugged in my velocity numbers, my sight height above bore, all that fun stuff, plugged it in. And for 380 yards, which is as far as I can shoot at my range, they had a steel target out there at 380. I had to come up 7 MOA. And so I took my rest, or took my bags, walked down from the 100, walked down to the 380 line, threw my bags on the table, adjusted my scope 7 MOA up, shot a 3-shot group, and it came in just under 4 inches at 380 yards. I think it was like 3.7 inches or something like that. Anyway, just under MOA. I think it's like 0.92 is what it ended up being, 0.92 MOA. 3 shots. I couldn't be happier. So then I wanted to double check and make sure that that information was somewhat accurate. So I looked at the ballistic calculator for the 200 yard drop, and that was 1 3/4 MOA. So I brought the scope all the way back down to 0, right back down to where my original 0 was. So that was 28 clicks. And then I went up because the scope was in MOA and 1/4 minute clicks. So I went up 7, and 7 clicks, and dead center punched the 200-yard plate. They have steel plates set up at multiple distances, and they have one set up at 200 yards, held dead center and punched dead center of the plate. So good to go there. And I actually have, I think, 30 rounds left out of the factory ammo. I ended up buying 5 boxes, so I had started with 100 rounds. I've got 30 left, I believe. And so I'm gonna use some of those to hunt with this year. I'm not really gonna fool with that, so I'm not super pressed for time on trying to work up a load. I don't feel the need to sort of try to rush to get something done. So that was very pleasing to be out there and have that stuff, especially factory ammo, have that stuff shoot pretty well, confident enough you can take it into the deer woods and take a shot at that distance. But on the reloading side of the house, you already see the die set. It's just a Hornady custom grade die set. It's just 2 dies. It's a full length sizer die, and full length sizing die, bullet seating die. I'm sure this is just like a standard 30 cal bullet seating die, which I've already got one of those, but we can use this one. That's fine. I'll check the seating stem just to make sure it fits the bullets really well. If not, I'll swap it out. And so some initial testing that I plan on doing. So for the resizing, I'm using the full length sizing die. However, I did pull out the expander ball and the decapping assembly. I pulled all that out. I've started doing that more and more. I've done it on 6.5 Creedmoor for a long time, and I'm starting to do it more and more, mostly because I have a L.E. Wilson expander mandrel die, and I've got the 30 cal and the 6.5 version for the mandrel. And so pretty much my process that I've followed now a long time on 6.5, and which I'll follow here, is I decap with a Lee universal decapping die. After I go to the range, come back, I just decap everything and then throw it in the Frankfurt Arsenal wet tumbler, right? I tumble everything. And then once I come back from that, that's when I start my resizing process. That way my brass is clean. I don't get anything up in the die while I'm doing this. And then go watch CW, I think his channel, CW Longshot. He's had to change a couple of times. I think YouTube's kind of struck him down a couple of times, but he just put out a video about inconsistencies in your measurements whenever you perform resizing of the brass. And he pointed out some really good things as far as how you could get different measurements. You might think that you're all good to go, and just a few different tweaks that you make during your process can vastly change your measurement output, right? And create inconsistencies in the resizing of your brass. Really good video. I encourage y'all to go check out his channel. He puts out great stuff, and that video was really neat to watch. He kind of walked you through it and actually showed you, hey, this is what I just changed. This is the only variable I changed, and look at how our measurements changed. And then he goes back, corrects that, and everything's good. So it was really good video to watch. But now I'm kind of transitioning away from using the expander ball method, more so just for consistency's sake in neck tension and all that fun stuff. But we're not even going down that rabbit hole. So just is what it is. That's my process now. I resize it. It's dependent on how much you want to push your shoulder back, your press setup, your die setup, the whole nine, the shell holders that you use. You can go get Redding, I think, sells shell holders of varying heights, so that way you can actually adjust once you have your die set. They're in increments of like 0.02, I think. So you can actually adjust it that way, right? There's a million different ways to skin that cat. You got to go figure that out. Pretty much on virtually all instructions for resizing dies, it's going to have you run this ram up. You're going to screw your die in until it touches your shell holder. You're going to lower your ram slightly. You're going to screw this in just a little bit more until you get somewhat of a cam over action. Tighten it down, and you should be good. I followed that approach. I ran this up into the to where, ran the ram to the top of the stroke, screwed the die in until it barely touched. I mean, barely touched. And then I resized a couple pieces of brass. All I did was make the brass longer, which means that's actually not doing its job. It's not pushing the shoulder back. It's allowing the brass to grow, which is not what we want. So I had to unscrew my a little lock ring here, tighten this up just a little bit, and now I've got it to where I'm pushing that shoulder back 1/1000th. Perfectly fine. This stuff will chamber no problem. Life is good. So that's where I'm leaving it. That's sort of the resizing process. After I do this, you know, I'll have to come behind and remove this, add in that L.E. Wilson expanding mandrel die, and then go through the process of expanding all of these to get the neck tension that I want, and to allow for bullet seating. Because if you do this, if you follow this method, these necks will be very tight because they're going up into the die, getting squeezed down, and then you don't have an expander ball there to pull them over and expand them back out. So you got to expand them somehow. So that's what I use. That's kind of the method that I follow. From there, then it's just transitioning over to the Lyman Case Prep Express. I've used this now for years, and it is amazing. I'll trim the brass, chamfer deburr, clean out the neck with a brush, and then the primer pockets as well. From there, you just, you know, install the primers, throw some powder, bullet, ready to go. And the bullets that I'm gonna initially do some velocity / pressure testing with are the 178 grain ELDX, which Hornady has load data for, the 150 SST, see if we can mimic the factory ammo, Sierra 165 grain Spitzer, and then these guys, look at here, got a couple of bags of these 165 grain core lock. So I'm a big fan of the bullet itself. Core lock factory ammunition is garbage, but the bullet, really nice bullet, really good hunting choice. So picked up a couple bags of those, again, from Duck Creek Sporting Goods. So other than that, I've got some Nosler 150 grain ballistic tips I'm thinking about possibly trying. And then I also have some, let's see, I've got some 180s. I've got some 180 SST, which Hornady has load data for it. And then I also have 125 grain SSTs. They don't have load data for that 125 grain bullet, but they do have the 125 grain GMX. Not the same. GMX is not the same as an SST, but still might explore that as an option. I don't know. I kind of want to stay in the 150 to 165, 175 grain range, somewhere in there. I'm really hoping these ELDXs shoot well. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in the process. For a lot of this, we're going to be using Shooter's World Match Rifle Powder, since it is supposedly a clone of Accurate 2520, and Accurate 2520 is one of the better options to use. I think Hornady even called it out in their little blurb about this on the, let's see, a couple pages ago. I think they even referenced that Accurate 2520 was a great powder choice, unless they've changed this. No, yeah, here we go. We experienced excellent accuracy with both Accurate 2520 and Hodgdon BLC2. I've got a little bit of BLC2, but I've got a ton of that Shooter's World Match Rifle, which is a clone of Accurate 2520. So my plan is I'm going to load up 10 rounds, 5 different bullets, right? So I've got 4 there. Now I've got to figure out what the 5th bullet's going to be. But going to load up 10 rounds, 5 different bullets. These are going to be velocity and pressure tests. So I'm just going to, you know, go through, make sure I double check my charge weights for each bullet. And I'll start at a certain charge weight and work my way up. And then we'll just see what type of velocities I can get using that powder and these different bullets, and then go from there. So I do plan on tearing apart some of the factory ammunition, because supposedly they used a more of a early on iteration of Hodgdon Superformance powder, which that is one of my favorite powders to use. So I would really like to be able to use that powder, but I need to tear a few apart, see what kind of charge weights we're looking at, and then probably adjust even further, like go down a little bit from there if I'm going to be using the Superformance I have now, because I don't know if it's exactly the same powder as it once was. This thing, they came out with this in the early 2000s. So yeah, slightly older cartridge. So all right, that's it. That's enough rambling and talking for me. Don't forget, Guys, if you are looking for anything reloading wise, just anything in general in the firearms industry, and you don't make a stop by Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville, then you are doing yourself a disservice. So they had some primers sitting on the shelf the other day. They have a lot of powder, probably the best price on an 8-pound jug of H40 350 that you're going to find anywhere. They're running a 15% off sale on their powder. They've got a ton, and I mean a ton of high quality firearms to choose from. They've got budget oriented stuff as well. If you're into the 22 game, the competitive 22 like the NRL and all that stuff, they can get you squared away and set up. If you want to go the competition route for like PRS and stuff, they can get you squared away with that. I mean, yeah, if you want to go build an AR or whatever, they've got anything and everything you need. Scopes, they've got Vortex, they've got Leupold, Athlon. They carry a lot of great stuff. Scope rings, any mounting solution you need. Yeah, just go check them out. You'll be happy that that you heard it here and then you acted on that. So go see those guys, check them out, see what they got. But all right, I'm gonna finish the resizing process of this brass, and then I'll go through the following steps that I just discussed. So that's it. Not really going to have any shooting or anything in this video. No range results. It's already long enough. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me talk. But the next video, hopefully, I'll be able to get out to the range. Hopefully it won't be too crowded or there won't be anybody there. I can set up my tripod. I can actually get some filming done at the range, and then we can show some results kind of as they come in. So, all right, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.